When I got out of the military, I had a hard time translating my military experience into the civilian world. I'll be honest with you, if it wasn't for my wife, I probably would have been that homeless or impoverished vet. But it can be easier with the right support. I'm Mark Casper, and I'm the Executive Director of Tech4Troop's. In today's world, you have to have a computer to be able to apply for jobs. Our mission is to empower veterans in need with computers and training to get back in the workforce.
Here at Tech4Troop's, we're here to push you forward to get you back to where you want to be in life. When the veterans come in, I teach them everything you could think of that's done with a computer. I want them to feel that this is a tool that's going to help them get their life back.
I went into a kind of a deep depression. Eventually, I lost my job and I was out on the street. The computer was able to connect me to the web, and I was able to start putting resumes out. And you have to have these small building blocks to get from point A to point B. I'm not worried about employment anymore.
The need is great, and we want to be able to support our veterans across the nation.
Welcome, everybody, to the Tech4Troop's Talledega 250. Thanks for joining the IWM Broadcast Network. I'm Rick Souza, joined here in the booth by my familiar co-host, John DeRudris. Welcome, John.
Yeah, Rick, we're here at Talledega Superspeedway, my favorite track, and, Talledega is one of the biggest tracks on the circuit, as well as one of the most dangerous, and when you put this at the end of the schedule, at the cutoff race before the playoffs, anything can happen. We have a lot of drivers that are trying to get their first win of the season to clinch their way into the playoffs right now. And, looking at it right now, we have close to 25 to 27 entries. So a large field for tonight's race in the last race of the regular season before we start our Tech4Troop Cup Series playoffs here soon. So
why don't we bring up those the current points standings, or at least for the chase. Let's bring up those chase points right now. All right, so John, the chase points are up after New Hampshire.
Yep, having a little trouble seeing it myself, but no worries. We should be able to get that up here in a second. There we go. All righty, Joey Doucette is leading our point standings right now with 4 victories on the season. He's already clinched his way to being more than likely the top playoff-seeded driver going into next week if Hermas Castro does not show up tonight. In second, you have Hermas Castro with 3 wins, Christopher Howell with 2 wins along with Alonzo King. Brian Pittman and Alexander Schumacher both have 1 win, but everybody behind them, Barletta, Ogden, Shootman, Slatker, Berube, and Bostic, those are your current top 12. All of those drivers do not have a win on the season. Same thing with Surowick, David Watts. Same thing with a lot of these other drivers here tonight. They are looking to secure their spot. So it's easier said than done, but you can get it done here tonight. And right now, it looks like one of the highest finishers, or one of the highest placed point drivers on the board right now is Harley Barletta in P3. So he's looking strong right now. You know, we've talked about him a lot this season. He is the highest points awarded driver right now without a win. So he's somewhat locked into the playoffs, if you can say. But a win doesn't hurt at all. So you have Ty Bostic there as well, who's at the end of the points. That is up there in second. But I think we just got through
over.
qualifying.
So why don't we let's hit your keys to the race.
Yeah, so Talledega, you know, it always happens. There's a couple key factors that involve every single race here at Talledega. One is patience. You don't have to win on lap 1, lap 15, lap 30, or lap 93, or going in the last corner. You don't have to win on any point of those tracks, so be patient. Number 2, pit strategy. If we do get green flag pit stops, you have to pit with somebody else or a group of other drivers, because one car around this track is not as fast as 2, or 3, or 4, or a big group, or a big pack. And third, avoiding the big one or the big ones. So with Talledega, how this racetrack races, how the drivers race, especially at the end of the season, the last race before the playoffs, there's going to be quite a few big ones, I can imagine, because these guys are putting everything on the line to win the Tech4Troop Cup Series Championship. So avoiding the big ones is going to be my third key to the race tonight.
All right, let's see what the track looks like tonight. So what we've got here is relatively nice weather, 72 degrees. Track temp, though, is hot. It's 123 degrees.
Yeah, it's a hot one. You know, it doesn't really affect the cars too much at a super speedway, but even though it's that hot, I think it may affect it just a little bit more than usual. Maybe a little bit slick coming out of the corners. But no matter what it is, it's going to be a fast race. It's going to be fast-paced, and we have 94 laps, 60% fuel, 3 sets of tires on top of the ones that they have on the car right now. So predicting roughly 2 to 3 green flag or 2 to 3 pit stops here in tonight's field. But here is your starting lineup for the Tech4Troop's Dega 250 presented by Tech4Troop's, 1111 Veteran Project U-Haul, and Elite Performance Industries. On the pole, you have our own iRacing Warriors Motorsports Matt Swope. He is not racing for the championship. He is just racing in tonight's race. He is on the pole for tonight with Ty Bostic in second, Harley Barletta in third, Austin Armstrong in fourth, Mike Slatker rounding out your top 5 with Alonzo King Jr. in sixth, Ian Ogden in seventh, Christopher Howell in eighth, Dave P. Sharon in ninth, and Marco Berube rounding out your top 10.
In 11th, William Mann Jr. in the 29. In 12th place, on the outside, John Ledger in the 19. In 13th spot, Andrew Surwick in the 43. Outside, Jerry Batto in the 34. Joey Doucette in 15th in the 11. And the 16th slot is filled by Pete Woodrum in the number 1. Travis Murgaard is in 17th. Luke Bullard is in 18th. Matt McComas in 19th in that number 10. On the outside of Matt, you've got David Watts in the 54. Bobby Gibson is in the 21st. 22nd is Hermas Castro. Ryan Pittman in 23rd. And Chris Worrell is going to be in 24th position. In 26th position, 25th actually, Sean Shipman in the 37. You've got Jeff Nini in the 40 and 28th. And rounding out the field, Thomas Thompson in the 78.
Rick, it's going to be a fun night tonight here at Talledega. I think these drivers are ready to get going. You know, they have the wily veteran out there in front, Matt Swope, part of the iRacing Warriors Motorsports admin team out there on the pole. He's looking to bring home a Talledega win. I think this is his favorite track. He's did a few times. So no surprise that he's on the pole. But there's a lot of hungry dogs behind him. You have Barletta there in third, Bostic there in second. And you have some guys that are behind the cutoff line looking to get a win to seal their way into the playoffs.
All right, cars are making their way around. We're going to take the green flag momentarily. They're just coming out. The pace car is dropping off there as they drop out of fourth. Of course, Talledega is a tri-oval, so there is a bit of a drive to get out of turn 4 to our start-finish line here at this track.
Alrighty, Rick. Here we go. Green flag is about to fly, and green flag is out for the Tech4Troop's Talledega 250. And both lines look like they got a good restart. We already have some jockeying for position there, about a third of the way through the pack. And here they go down to the third one.
All right, Matt Swope continues to lead that low line, and you have the 81 of Harley Barletta behind him, and you've got the Ty Bostic in that 22, that orange 22 on the outside, leading that outside line.
Yes, we do, and we are starting to see both lines form up. The bottom line has a little bit of a bigger formation, as you see the 81 pushing that 82 all the way through the corner, and we have some three wide action already, kind of going back through the pack. Definitely some drivers trying to settle out in their position, maybe just set back here early on. There goes Harley Barletta to the outside of the 82 of Matt Swope going down to the tri-oval. Who is going to lead that first lap? I believe it is going to be Harley Barletta getting another point towards his playoff hopes.
He has jumped up to that outside line, got a good push. Oh, little movement. I think that was Alonzo King getting a little bit out of shape there.
Yeah, it looks like he got a little bit of a push. Don't know if that was from the 99, but it was a little bit of a push.
Three and solid 3 wide. That center line's fading back a bit. It's a bit early.
It is a bit early for that. We already are seeing that a little bit back through the pack, but these drivers can do it. I believe they're able to hold their lines and get a good run. Now let's see what they're able to do here. Coming to lap 3 of 94. Swope on the bottom, Barletta on the high side. It is Swope this time by your pole sitter. So this is going to be the story of Talledega, patience and or lack thereof, because we're already going 3 wide. But it's what happened. You can run 3 wide here at Talledega with no issues at all. Just everybody has to hold their line. And right now we have 4 cars formed up on that high line, with the majority of the cars in that lower line, as well as the middle line starting to form up a little bit, with Barletta, Bostic, and the 13 of Armstrong right there leading the charge. So we'll see what they're able to do, but that middle line seems to be holding its ground pretty well.
It sure is, and you'll notice as these cars begin to move around these lanes, we'll be calling out who may be leading, but it could change in a heartbeat. So stay tuned, watch your screen, and you'll follow along with us as this race shakes out. So we are 3 wide here, about to cross the start-finish line. And, Matt Swope has worked his way back.
Yeah, that group kind of broke up on the bottom. It looks like driving through LA traffic right now, or Atlanta traffic. There's 3 lanes, everybody going everywhere, and right now there's really no distinct lines outside of the first 5 in that middle row. You have Barletta, Bostic, Howell, Worrell, and Berube all right there with Hermaz Castro. He is in this race in that 6th position, looking to tie Joey Doucette for the point lead. Oh, we have 3 wide racing again. Looks like that was Alonzo King coming to the high side of the 25.
Yeah, he's looking for some help. That looks like you've got the number 1 of Pete Woodrum, who is racing that tribute scheme for Ken Block. That's back there.
Absolutely great paint scheme there. Unfortunate what happened to Ken, because that's a big loss to the motorsport community, but great job for Mr. Woodrum there running that tribute scheme. But right now, it definitely looks like these lanes have formed up a little bit better, and we are starting to see 3 distinct lines.
Oh, that high line. Huge run the outside.
I mean, they may be able to they cleared that bottom or that middle lane. That was very impressive out for that. Christopher Howell, Worrell, and Alonzo King able to do that on the high side, and Harley Barletta drops up right there to not miss that. Same thing with Hermaz Castro. So right now we have 3 wide racing still going through the back, and that outside line has become the preferred line, with now Christopher Howell out front, Christopher Worrell in second, and Alonzo King there in third.
Chris Worrell pushed Chris Howell all the way through both the tri-oval, completely right tied to his bumper. There was not a gap between them. That is hard to hold and hard to do. They accomplished it.
It is, but that could be a move that they could use a little bit later on in the race to get them a win. I mean, it's something you don't really see here at Talledega, getting that move down to the outside, but if you have a good enough pusher and pushy, you're able to get a good enough run. Oh, we got a turn. Now we're wrecking. Here's the big one. Big one, number 1. Caution is out. I was waiting for that. I was like,
Yep, it's going to happen.
We do see cars sideways, right? But that started basically a third or 2/3 of the way through the pack. There is Matt Swope, unfortunately, involved in that.
That was Matt McComas.
Oh, Matt McComas. Okay.
Yep, similar paint scheme. I think he and Travis Murgaard got together. Let's go back and hit the replay on what happened, and we'll see if we can figure this out. Whoa.
Yep, we got to go back a little bit more.
I think that is Austin Armstrong. Let's kind of dial this back, and certainly there's an 1111 car. Let's got some contact there. Oh, so he was getting pushed by the 1 or the 43.
Yep, that is the 1 of Pete Woodrum in that Hoonigan number 1 Camaro, or Ford rather. Oh yeah.
Yep, just a good run. Catches the left rear of Austin Armstrong, who comes down into the 11 of Joey Doucette, your points leader. Joey hangs on.
And then I think he gets turned again right here. Oh no, a little bit of net code. And then you have some other drivers a little bit further on back that do get involved.
Yep, they're watching that drama take place. Let's kind of back up what happened on Matt, and we can take it from his perspective here. And of course, they're seeing all this happen in front of them. So
that is, I believe, the 43 up in the high line right behind them, gets into right there, and just wrong place, wrong time for big hit for Matt McComas. Just wrong place, wrong time for Matt. You know, that's where you want to go. You want to go down to the bottom side of the track, but sometimes the cars just don't agree with you, and you know, like the famous saying, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. And that time, Matt was on the wrong end of that. So, as it stands right now, we're having yellow flag pit stops going on, and it looks like mostly everybody came down pit road. And you know what this means? This means that we have tonight's first trivia question. So, for everybody out there, I know you're all waiting for my trivia questions. I got a lot lined up for you. So, we're going to start off with a fairly easy one. Do you know what year Talledega actually broke ground? Now, this is not the year that it opened. This is the year that it broke ground. Do you know the year that Talledega Superspeedway broke ground?
all right.
Break ground, technically, I guess, if you want to say break ground.
Yep, and you know, our transposers of your question, they transposed it exactly as you dictated it, so it came out. All right, so lap 8, we have our first incident here at Talledega. 87 laps to go, 94 in total.
And out front, you have Mr. Thompson in that 78 machine, followed by Woodrum, King, Howell, and World Air.
So right now I can tell you that Mr. Thompson and Pete Woodrum, as well as Jeff Nini, did not pit. So there's 3 guys out there who did not pit, and based on the times we're seeing, it was just fuel for the majority.
Yep, and that's what you're going to see here. Tires don't really wear as much at other tracks comparatively to, or they don't wear as much here at Talledega compared to other tracks, so you don't have to change them as often. Here comes a few more drivers. There is, I believe that was the 1 and the 80 of Woodrum and King there coming up pit road. But yeah, Rick, like you said, it's going to be a lot of gas and go until really the end of the race, where you would need some tires because you are running around here at 200 miles an hour. The banking is very intense, so the tire wear isn't a lot, but it will affect you a little bit later on in the race as the lights jump off the pace car. So we got one answer from Wildman for what year did Talledega break ground? He says 1969. Okay, so one answer in for Mr. Wildman. Don't have any other answers. as of yet.
Yep. So, John, at this point, I also know that Jason with Tech4Troop's has joined us here in the booth. We'll wait for Jason to join us. Jason, how's it going?
Not too bad, Rick. How are you guys doing tonight here at the Dega 250?
We are doing great, and we're already seeing kind of what we would expect here on a super speedway.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm here for it. I know that I'm here for the skirmish on the speedway, checking out the paint schemes, but I'm getting into some of the different styles of the drivers, and even just judging from the paint schemes, some of their tendencies as they drive kind of comes through in their artwork as well. But it's been a lot of fun to see a lot of these guys as they've progressed, not only just over the past couple of races, but the whole season.
It sure has, and right now the cars are making their way through turns 3 and 4. We're going to start. Pace car will drop off soon. We'll get this race back under green flag. Jason, just give us a quick preview about what the paint scheme challenge is for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So every week, I go through the Discord and put it up to all the different drivers. If you want to do a custom paint scheme, repping for Tech4Troop's, we're the title sponsor of the whole series here, but also like to keep it more just show our personal support too for the drivers as well, and they've reciprocated in kind with some really awesome schemes throughout the weeks, and some really original stuff that I absolutely couldn't have come up with, but it's been phenomenal not only to see it on the track, but to use it in that promotional material, just so people can see what we're doing here, and not only the racing, but some of the art aspects to it as well.
Well, we'll look forward to your selection as the race continues. So we are back under green flag conditions. Thomas Thompson has jumped out to a quick lead. He's got about a 10-second lead, but he's getting run down by this field. And the outside line, John, is formed right back up.
Yeah, it has. And what happened was it looked like the field just stacked up and then just accordioned out. So we have two distinct packs formed right now. One that has about 14 to 15 cars in it. The other one has about 10 cars in it. That's about 3 seconds back. So right now, Thomas Thompson up there in the front in the 78 with Mike Slatker in second, John Ledger in third, Worrell in fourth, and Doucette in fifth. That's going to change here in a heartbeat. But those are your currently top five. There's Bostic entering the top five portion as well. But look, that 78 up front, it's good to see a new face up there. And, with Mike Slatker as well. Slatker's been performing well all season. He's been on the upward trend. Can he get a victory to seal his way into the playoffs? Who knows? We'll find out here in about 83 laps. But we want to thank you for tuning in to tonight's Tech4Troop's Dega 250, brought to you by Tech4Troop's, U-Haul, 1111 Venture Project, as well as Elite Performance Industries. And if you enjoy what you're watching, make sure to like the video and like the broadcast and subscribe to our channel so you can see more events like this that we put on for iRacing and for other leagues as well throughout the iRacing world, and to be a part of the iRacing Warriors Motorsports community. So we appreciate you for watching. Right now we have a move with Mike Slatker going up to the top spot. I think he heard what I said and was like, hey, I need to get a win.
So it's like Thomas Thompson dropped out. He decided, being at the front's a little crazy right now with 83 laps. He dropped right down. Whoa, hang on to it.
He's spinning. He's shaking. All right, not really sure what's going on with the 78 machine because it looks like he's going to come down pit road. Not really sure. He shouldn't be out of gas.
Yep, looks like he's coming down on the brakes, and he's coming down pit road.
Yeah, not really sure what happened.
No, he's locked it up all the way down, so overshot his pit. All right, we'll figure out what happened with Thomas Thompson. Let's jump back up front. You've got This battle, Chris Howell on the outside, Mike Slagner on the inside.
That is your current battle for the top spot.
So maybe a good time to finish up your trivia question while we have a moment.
Exactly. So the question was, what year did Talledega Superspeedway break ground? So Wildman, 1969 is actually very, very close. That was actually the year that it opened. It actually broke ground on May 23rd, 1968. It took a little over a year and a half to build, but it broke ground in 1968. So 54 years or 55 years ago, this upcoming May. So that is your caution number one track fact and trivia question. Stay tuned for more, and I will be releasing our IWM Jeopardy at-home game very soon. Stay tuned.
Well, you saw, if you were watching just there, you saw that Matt Swope wound up by himself in that center lane, and that unfortunately, without a dance partner, is going to cycle you back. You saw him; he's now dropped to the tail end of the low line, as the high line seems to have the juice, making it around here tonight.
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of star power up in that high line. You have Howell, your previous champion, World, who's won here, or we were one of the series before. There's the 14 tagging the wall a little bit.
The 21 got turned by his partner, by his teammate. The 21 got turned.
The 21's coming back up the track, Rick. Don't know where he went. Don't know if he actually did come back. He's on the infield. He has a broken toe link. Shouldn't bring out a caution, but that is a big hit for Ian Ogden when it comes to the playoff implications that this will affect.
Yep, Joey Doucette unfortunately collected his teammate. Hard hit on the right front. Ian does a masterful job keeping that off the track. And you can see him coming back down to get that repair done.
Well, that's unfortunate for Mr. Ian Ogden because he is 8th place in the points right now with 536 points. So depending on where Shootman, Slavker, Berube, and Bostic finishes, if any of those drivers win, I think he could still be locked into the playoffs. There shouldn't be enough points to be allocated to those previous drivers, but if Bostic or Berube wins, which is the 11th and 12th place driver, Ian Ogden may be not too comfortably in front of that cutoff line. I think he should be okay, but still not a place where you want to get involved with no caution early on here. 17 out of 94 complete. Unfortunate for that event, but it looks like we're having some lap cars coming up here fairly soon, which is what you're going to see at Talledega. The fact that there is no really way to run around here by yourself, you're going to see these single cars get left out and potentially get lapped.
Yeah, those typical lap cars are running laps by themselves somewhere in the 50 plus, and together as a team, you're seeing much faster times with these tandem and group driving, these pack racing. So.
Yep, you can see that right there with them going by the 78 machine. You know, it's just not even comparable to lap times because you need those drafting partners, and that is what makes this track the way that it is. And there is another 11-11 driver. That is the 6th machine right there.
That's Travis Murgaard. He is getting lapped.
That second pack has pretty much fallen pretty far back right now. They are roughly 5.5 seconds, led by Joey Doucette and Sean Shootman, Alonzo King behind this front 7, if you will. And you can see that on the track map right there. The 99 is the first car in that first pack, the leader, and the number 80, it looks like he is the first car in that second pack currently right now. And that's the difference. You know, with these two packs running as they are, it may stay like this for a while unless there's a big shakeup with one of these packs.
So it's Alonzo King. He's leading that second pack. So you've got 8 cars in the front pack, give or take some lap traffic that kind of blends in there. The other thing to consider is we are seeing a little bit of technical issues with some of these drivers. You may see their cars blink or wink in and out. Right there, you just saw one. That's the 43. That's the 43 of Andrew Surwick, just popped in and pop out. That's unfortunately just a part of their internet connection and their connection to iRacing. We see that happen not regularly, but it does occur. So unfortunately, it can affect your position, and more importantly, especially in this kind of racing, it can affect those around you.
Absolutely. It'll definitely affect the net code potentially, where, if you're not familiar with net code, it's when you get close to another car and it basically tries to simulate the damage for you, or you make contact with that car essentially without making contact. It technically tries to make up for what would the game expects there to be some contact made. So that could happen with somebody's blinking. It could happen with somebody's connection kind of goes in and out like you've seen before, but hopefully it all straightens out. But at a big super speedway like this, it sometimes can be a good thing, sometimes can be a bad thing, because if you're the one pushing a driver who is blinking, next thing you know, you may show up in their rear bumper. So hopefully that gets all fixed. But right now, Marco Berube.
Yeah, I think something had happened to Chris Worrell. He has now gone a lap down and jumped into the pits. Something happened to that number 8.
It has. I don't really know what it was, but something definitely did. Good catch.
Another driver with playoff impacts.
And right now, Marco Berube is 11th in the standing. He is one spot above that cutoff line. So a win for him would be monumental in getting him some extra points, getting into the playoffs, especially in that 11th spot with Ty Bostic in 3rd right there. Both of those drivers are 11th and 12th in the point standing. So both a win for either one of those drivers is a automatic lock-in to the final round. Well, any driver out here that doesn't have a win is going to be an automatic lock to the playoffs, but those points matter just as well. Same thing with Andrew Surwick as well as David Watts. Those two drivers are in 13th and 14th, and they both need a win to make it into the playoffs. Anybody from 13th on back in the point standings needs a win. So right now, Berube, it would technically be locked into the playoffs as it stands with one win if the race were to end right now. So we'll keep on updating you with some of these playoff implications as the race goes on. But right now, your top 10, you have Marco Berube in 1st, Castro in 2nd, Bostic in 3rd, Matt Swope in 4th, Christopher Howell in 5th, Marletta in 6th, Ledger in 7th, Alonzo King in 8th, Luke Bullard in 9th, and Bobby Gibson rounding out the top 10.
Well, if you're watching, you just saw Austin Armstrong and now Travis Burgard getting run over by this lead pack.
Yep. It's bound to happen just because of the way that this track is laid out, and we're going to see a little bit more of that as the laps start to wind down and the field starts to wind down. Now, what I'm going to be curious about is right now, there's really there's a possibility always of a wreck, but with 2 separate packs, it lowers the possibility of a massive wreck or the big one exponentially. These guys are all single file, same thing with the other pack, so the possibility of that is much lower. So could we see green flag stops here at Talledega? That would definitely shake up the field, because who's going to go with who? Are teammates going to go with teammates? Are you going to go with a non-teammate? Are you going to go first, or anybody go with you? Or are you going to be the one left out to dry? It's all going to be a massive gamble as this race goes on. And there's Christopher Worrell, as you were mentioning there, Rick, up in the high line.
Yeah.
He is now multiple laps down, I believe. Yep, he is 5 laps down. So big playoff implications for him.
So with 25 laps in the book, these guys all pitted around lap 7. The majority of our competitors. Now, what that means is that they have taken away those 7 laps, plus another maybe 3 for the lower speeds. That's 15 laps on this tank of fuel.
Yep, they can run about, I believe, about 30, I think about 36 to 38 laps, I believe. I have to double check my math on that on a full tank.
You're right. Yeah, with 60%, I think you're going to wind up somewhere around 21 laps, maybe our refuel point. I'm sure we will get a peek at what those are probably in the next 5 laps.
I'm doing some calculations right now to give you.
All right, so don't go away. We're going to take our first commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You won't miss anything. We'll be side by side for this message.
When veterans get out of the military, a lot of them don't know how to translate their skill sets into the civilian world, and they lapse into poverty or into homelessness. But it can be easier with the right support. At Tech4Troop's, our mission is to empower veterans in need with computers and training to get back in the workforce. We want to be able to support our veterans across the nation.
All right, we are back, and as you're joining us, we just had a caution come out. Looks like there may have been an issue with Andrew Serwick. Let's jump over to that, John.
Alrighty, let's see what happened with the 43 machine. He is pushing Bobby Gibson right there. Oh, did he clip him? Oh, he clipped him.
Bobby hangs on, but comes back down.
Oh,
Collects
Matt McComas.
twice. Matt McComas is involved. You can still see the 43 backwards coming down off the banking into the grass, and that's what brings out our caution.
Yes, it does. You know, quite amazing that 43 machine didn't get airborne at the angle and the speed at which he was turned around going backwards. Typically, you see these cars get a little bit of airtime at such a speed and at such a aggressive, completely just turned backwards. So I'll obviously got to give a shout out to the iRacing NASCAR car manufacturers and safety officials for the wonderful safety advancements of these cup cars. So good to see that. And now we have some drivers making their way down pit road. And just to give you a overall view about pit possibilities and how long you can go on a full tank of gas, my calculations, you can go about 19 to 21 laps. That is the window. Now, it depends on if you are out front or if you are pushing and behind a car. So if you are behind somebody and you're able to draft, probably a little bit more than that. But if you are the lead car, full throttle all around, you got about 19 to 21 laps on a tank of gas.
All right, so we expect to see pretty much the entire field coming down, and you can see a scramble to get off of pit road.
Yes, we
pretty
do.
Much
and
everybody came down. It was kind of like that time, right? We kind of figured that this was about where they would be.
Yeah, it was about 2 to 3 laps short of the window, so no reason to stay out here, come down, get some fuel, maybe change some tires, but everybody's going to come down pit road. And, you know, this is a caution, which means my second trivia question for the night. So, who leads all active NASCAR Cup Series drivers with the most wins at Talledega? Who has the most wins here at Talledega out of active drivers? Not previous drivers, not drivers who have retired, but active Cup Series drivers.
Most wins, correct?
Correct. Most wins. Most wins out of all active Cup Series drivers. Thank you. Freddie Durstock says Brad K. Okay. Thank you, Freddie, for putting in your answer and locking it in.
That was pretty quick. I think Freddie may know that answer.
He may.
Think he knows.
Right. He may be wrong. I don't know. I have to check my sources. Freddie was pretty quick on that one. But Freddie Durstock says Brad Keselowski, who I think, let's talk about Cup, the actual Cup Series really quick. I think Brad Keselowski is going to have a good season this year, just because of how well RFK performed at the end of last season. Really, what we saw at Bristol, what we saw they were able to put up some really good finishes for that team. So I predict Brad K and that team to have a good year.
I think a lot of the teams that may have struggled a bit at the early onset of the season with the new car will have a lot of time now to try and put things back together and try to come back and have a much stronger year this time. So there's a couple of incidents I want to jump to real quick that happened recently. I'm not sure there's anything going on, but let's take a quick look here. Let's look at Travis Mergard and Mike Slagter. They may have had an issue.
Interesting. Okay.
He's got some damage on that car. I'm not sure. Not sure what happened to Mike, but possibly something.
Possibly. It definitely has some front end damage on that car.
Yeah.
So not really sure why, but we'll be able to tell you. Maybe no, I don't know. Nothing really happened. I mean, I don't see anybody around him. May have happened before that, but unfortunate there for that number 14 machine. But right now,
new leader.
Yep, Mr. Ty Bostic in that number 22 Race for a Cure Camaro. Great paint scheme, great cause, and it's looking like, with current playoff implications, he is the last driver on the bubble. He is the 12th spot. If he wins, he is in. He needs a win because Andrew Surwick is a few points behind him, only 17 points. So if either of those drivers get caught up in anything, which we saw Andrew Surwick just got caught up in that last incident, that could affect your playoff. But right now, if the race were to stop, Ty Bostic would be locked into the playoffs.
All right, pace car drops off. You've got the Swope car, the 82 Swope on the outside, leading that lane.
Funny seeing him out front again.
Imagine
like
that.
He's good here or something. Yeah, good for Matt. But here we go. Bostic is that control car on the bottom lane. And we are off. Green flag racing here again at Talledega. There's Matt dropping down below that upper line. We're down in the corner one.
Yep, I think that's Marco Berube on the outside. In the 99, he's got the 11 guys behind him. That's Howell and Ledger.
Yes,
that Swope tucks in behind Ty Bostic.
And we're seeing this fanning out effect happen again here on the field. So this has happened, last restart. We're seeing it again, and here comes that high line led by Marco Berube and the 19 of John Ledger.
So you hope if you've got a car behind you that can push you, that you've worked together, you practice that, because it's really an art. And just as we say that, Marco drops down to the low line, leaving the 19 and the 11 on the high line.
Yep, and that's going to basically put the 19 right in line to take the lead, potentially with his teammate behind him of Joey Doucette, their current point leader. And look right there in P6, you have Luke Bullard there as well. He needs a win to be in the playoffs as well. He is outside that top 12. Same thing with Denis there in P9. So all these drivers right here, those two specifically need a win to get in.
Saw Alonzo King exploring that high line. He backed out of it. Didn't have a whole lot of help there. Dropped in. Jeff Denis is now on that outside by his lonesome, looking for some drafting partners. Not there.
And That's what can sometimes happen here at Talledega. You make a move and nobody else goes with you. And that's just the nature of the beast.
So again, we've seen this pack break apart. This may be a good opportunity, John, in a second to go on board with maybe Ty Bostic.
Sure, let's do it.
You're on board with the 22 of Ty Bostic.
Out of Rockingham, North Carolina, he's looking to seal his way into the playoffs.
See him back out a little bit there. RPM's dropped off touches. A little bit of contact between himself and the 99 of Marco Berube.
Yep, that 99 kind of keeps leaving the bottom lane open. And you see that the 22, he's like, oh, should I take it? Should I take it? But what that's going to do is that's going to leave the outside lineup. So you can see there is a 19 of Ledger and the 3 of Bullard up to the front of that bottom line. So here we go off turn 4, and this is the beauty of super speedway racing. It's not like any other kind of racing you see anywhere in the world where these cars race at this close of a proximity at this speed. But right now, Mr. Bostic is going about 191 miles an hour going through the corners. And great onboard shot with Mr. Bostic there as we were 34 out of 94 complete, 60 laps to go here in tonight's event. And right now, Luke Bullard has taken the lead up in that high line. A little bit of action going on behind back. So Luke Bullard.
Great push.
Yeah, looking for a win. But there goes Harley Barletta. He's like, I got to win to get in this thing. So Harley Barletta, actually, no, Harley Barletta doesn't really need to win to get in this, to get in the playoffs. He is enough secured, I believe, to potentially make his way. But we are 3 wide, 2 rows deep, all the way back. And there goes Andrew Serwick to the bottom lane. As we have cars bouncing around, going all over the place. We have 3 wide racing going into turn 1. Let's speak on a couple drivers up front really quick. Andrew Serwick is right there on the cutoff line. He is 13th. He needs a win in that 43 machine. The 3 of Luke Bullard there. Luke Bullard is also on that cutoff line. He is currently, I'm trying to find him in the overall. Oh, big one! Here they go. No caution yet. Are we going to stay green?
How do we stay green?
I don't know.
That was Marco Berube, Joey Doucette, all involved.
Yeah, let's go back and see if we can take a look at that.
There's the contact. Collecting the 11-2. You got the Austin Armstrong, the 99 of Marco Berube.
Wow. You know why we stayed
And back
green?
up on the track. Well, everybody kept moving.
Yeah, everybody kept going in the right direction. That's exactly why we stayed green. Very rare to see that, but that is why, with how these officials are calling the races, the racing officials, a car has to be sideways on the track. And, I mean, you could argue that there were some sideways cars, but then again, it's not. But right now, Rick, going back to the front, we have 3 wide for first place with Alonzo King, Harley Barletta, and Andrew Serwick all battling it out right now with Luke Bullard right there as well.
That incident has really shaken up.
And just to put into perspective, Luke Bullard is outside of the playoff window right now. He is currently sitting in, I believe, 17th spot. So he needs a win to get in. He is 3 spots behind, or my bad, he is in 16th. He needs a win to get in. So right now, him up there running up front puts him in a strong chance, unless we have a caution, which he may very well have a caution, to win. Same thing with Jeff Nene. Jeff Nini as well is all the way back. I think he's close to 20th. I'm trying to do some calculations. Let's see.
Point-wise.
He's 26th point-wise. So he needs a win as well, and he's up to P2 right now.
Ian Ogden is on pit road. Travis Murgaugh is coming out.
And let's take a look as well at John Ledger in the 19th. In 19th spot, he currently is...
He's in 9th.
20th. He's in 9th, and he is 20th in the points. So all of these drivers that are in this top 10, multiple of them are outside of that cutoff line that absolutely have to win to get in. So why do you think they're racing so hard? Well, one, because, it's the last race of the season. Two, it's because of Talledega. And three, the championship and their hopes is on the line. Luke Bullard has had a lot of great races this year, has had some unfortunate luck, but hasn't been able to see him a win. There's Jeff Nini out front right there in that tracker number 40. And there goes Harley Barleva down to the bottom lane.
Well, John, this is lap 39. They pitted last on 27. You should be looking for some green flag pit stops about 10 laps.
Yep, they absolutely should. Also, I gotta say the answer. The answer to the question of who leads all active Cup drivers for most wins at Talledega, Freddie was correct. Brad Keselowski leads all current active Cup Series drivers with 6 wins here at the big one, Super Speedway, if you want to call it that. So there we go. So Brad Keselowski was that answer.
Looks like Ty Bostic has dropped back a little bit. Joey Doucette is currently, unfortunately, with that incident, has moved into the tail end of the lead lap. And Alonzo King getting a big push from the number 1 of Pete Woodrum. That outside line is being led by the 81 of Harley Barletta. And just as I say that, it all changes.
Yeah, that's the story of Talledega. And let's speak on Mr. Pete Woodrum as well. Pete Woodrum currently is 1 spot behind Mr. David Watts in 15th position. So if Pete Woodrum wins, he is in the playoffs. So he needs a win to be able to get it done here. So looking at this, right now you have 3 to 5 drivers up there that must absolutely win. You have Woodrum, you have Surwick, you have Bullard, you have, I believe, Bostic probably needs to get a win, as well as Jeff Nini. So, Rick, a lot of these drivers are putting it all on the line.
Well, let's go ahead and bring up the current point standing, showing more than just our top 12. Let's see what that looks like. So there you go.
There we go. So, Luke Bullard sitting right there, as well as Pete Woodrum. Feeney is not, I don't believe Mark Feeney is in this race. Same thing with Ballentine. But those 2 drivers right there, Woodrum and Bullard, absolutely need a win to get into the playoffs. And right there, Ty Bostic is right at the cutoff line. So a win definitely is helpful for him, and I probably needed, but definitely a lot on the line for these drivers.
So just as we were talking about those point standings, we saw that Jeff Nini was on the outside line. He was up there really making some great gains and then dropped out, but now he's worked his way back up. Now he's flowing. He's got Ty behind him and the 22. Well, Ty Bostic, and you've got, I think, Luke Bullard. Oh, that's Pete Woodrum blinking again. So that's unfortunate for Alonzo King. The guy right behind him is having some connection issues.
And that's what you may see sometimes here, especially at a big super speedway, where it matters so much more. These cars are going typically the fastest that they will go in their capacity. So when somebody blinks, it affects everybody in the race a little bit more than usual. So we'll see if that continues. Hopefully it doesn't. But right now, it looks like everybody's able to hold their line. And you were speaking about Jeff Nannino. He's progressed through the whole season. And so a win would be massive for that number 40 machine, that 40 team, to take his place into the playoffs here going forward next week.
Oh, wrecking, big time.
Oh, big.
43, the broadcaster's curse. Watching Jeff Nini backwards up the track.
Don't hit the inside wall.
Oh, minor contact. So, big crash. Chris Howell, Andrew Surwick, and Jeff Nini involved. Let's even go back and grab a shot of this. Look at the 43 of Surwick on the low line. I know Chris Howell was involved. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there, right in front of him.
Oh, wow. So that was just, I mean, I don't think you would ever want to blink out, but the 43 almost missed that wreck because he was blinking out of the race. Unfortunate there for the 40, but the 40 just looks like he got loose.
Yeah, it's like the corner just kind of got away from him. The 40, that's just, yeah, there you go.
And Luke Bullard got tapped in the left rear. He was able to keep going, I believe. Oh, was he? Yep. But that involved the 40, the 43, as well as your previous champion, Christopher Howell. But, you know, that was a broadcaster's curse there. Sorry about that, Jeff. Didn't mean to do that to you.
All right, Jeff's in the pits getting some much-needed repair work. Pick up the rest of the field, figure out what they're going to do. Will they come down, top off fuel? My guess is yes.
Absolutely. I would highly recommend it if I was anybody on the track right now. So.
All right, pretty much the majority, that's your top 12, made it down onto pit road. And for the most part, anybody who was on the lead lap has come down.
Oh, absolutely.
I could be wrong. It looks like Matt Swope maybe a lap down. Do we see that?
Let's check. Matt Swope is one lap down. That is correct.
All right. Looks like Harley Barletta is going to come out in front with Alonzo King, John Ledger, Ty Bostic, Luke Bullard, Sean Schupman, Hermas Castro, Bobby Gibson, Pete Woodrum, Ryan Pittman. That's your top 10.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And so we do have another caution here tonight at Talledega. So I have another question for all of the viewers out there. What driver and how many wins does this driver have here at Talledega? And let me rephrase this before the transcriber for IWM starts typing this out. Which driver leads the Cup Series with most wins at Talledega, and how many wins does this driver have? What driver leads the Cup Series and wins at Talledega, and how many wins does that driver have? Should be a fairly strong consensus that I think a lot of people should know this answer. And this
is that past, present, future?
Past, present, and, well, future. We don't know what holds in the future, but don't know if anybody's going to break this record.
Past, present, future.
Past, present, and, well, future. We don't know what holds in the future, but don't know if anybody's going to break this record. It possibly could happen. We'll see, but if anybody does, that's going to be a tremendous feat to pass. So What driver leads the Cup Series in wins at Talledega, and how many wins does this driver have? Thank you for that, Mr. Transcriber. Past or present drivers, yes.
Okay, that is lap 49, where you're about to hit the halfway point here at Talledega.
Yeah, halfway through, a couple things that I'm seeing is patience is a little bit more abundant earlier on compared to this last stint. We saw a lot of cars jockeying for position, so it definitely has picked up in intensity, and we've definitely seen that throughout the race. So that's kind of what I'm noticing, as well as a lot of new faces to the front. You have Bobby Gibson there. You have William Mann Jr. as well, back there in 10th with Shootman, as well as Nini up there at the top spot. So a lot of different faces up here at the front of the pack. Freddie Durstock chimed in with an answer. He said, Dale Sr., unsure of how many.
So with that incident, somehow Jeff Nini is sitting in P1.
Baffles me. I can't tell you how that happened, but looks like his car is good to go.
I mean, he did not stay out.
Your guess is as good as mine, Rick. I have no clue. They're working some magic over there in Mr. Nini's camp. So we'll see what he's able to do in that Bass Pro Shops number 40 Camaro as we're about to hit the green.
That being said, he was in the incident prior, came in, and then this second with no caution, then the third caution occurred. So.
Correct.
All right, that being said, we're about to go back to green flag racing here at Talledega on the IWM Broadcast Network. We thank you for tuning in to the Tech4Troop's Cup Series, and this is our last race before we start the playoffs.
Yep, a lot of playoff implications still on the line. You have Nini up there without a win, Barletta up there without a win, Bostic up there without a win, Ledger up there without a win, Bullard up there without a win. I mean, Shootman up there without a win. All these drivers outside of Castro don't have a win.
Green flag.
Green flag. Yes, we are green flag racing back here at Talledega. And you see the field already getting tightened up. And this is a little bit of a tighter field than what we're typically seeing here as the high line starts to form up. And Jeff is left all by himself there on the bottom lane.
Oh, that's unfortunate. All the guys behind him just kind of backed off. He just jumped out ahead, and unfortunately that high line has a huge run.
Absolutely.
Some checking up happening big time.
Yeah, I mean, look at that high line. I mean, it's just massive, the run. I mean, just in a half a lap, then he went from first to ninth. I mean, so that was a major run from that high line there as Harley Barletta leads them around as we are seeing the field starting to get all back up together here. 48 out of 94 completing, coming to 49 out of 94 completed, officially halfway through this event. And Harley Barletta is your leader. Now, going back to my question under caution, which driver leads the Cup Series in wins at Talledega, and how many wins does this driver have? This is past or present drivers. No, Wild Man, it is not Richard Petty, and it is not 11 wins. Freddie Durstock was actually correct about the driver. I think that's 43 just at the wall, though. Speaking about another 43. But no, the answer to the question was Dale Sr. He has 10 wins here at Talledega.
All right, a little bit of three wide at the back end of the pack, but more just about jockeying for position.
You have a lot of cars just trying to figure out where they're going to go. You got a three wide action right there, two cars in that bottom lane. We'll see what happens. Let's keep on looking at this middle pack. That is William Mann right there in the middle. Nobody to go with him. There's Mike Slacker a little bit further on back. Wildman says the middle lane is premium. Well, it looks pretty good tonight. There's a bump from the 43. Oh, we careful. Oh, that was close there, Rick.
That's the 43. Hoping his connection stays good because he is in a really bad spot to be blinking in and out.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, he almost got out of that last incident because he blinked. But unfortunately, the sim picked it up, and he fortunately was able or got involved in that incident. But right, I do agree. Let's hope that the blinking is to a minimum. But right now, you see an interesting line being formed. You have the middle
78
line.
is up in the wall. That's Thomas Thompson with some outside contact into the safer barrier. Jump back up to our lead pack. That's Harley Barletta and the 22 of Ty Bostic teaming up here. And behind them is just a gaggle of cars running 2 and 3 wide.
Yeah, it's definitely getting dicey there in the middle of the pack. And you see the third car line, John Ledger, blinking a little bit as we see drivers going 3 wide. And it's getting hairy out there, folks. So be ready for some action to start happening right now as you see that middle lane has started to migrate down the bottom. That high line has started to gain some momentum. Harley Barletta is left all by himself in the middle, but watch out for Luke Buller with a massive run in the middle. We're about to see some action, folks. Here we go out of turn 2. Where are these cars, where are these drivers going to go?
That's Ryan Pittman with some contact, and also the one of Woodrum with that safer barrier.
A lot of drivers making contact with that outside wall. Hopefully they're able to keep it straight and keep it clean and green. And let's talk about Ryan Pittman for a second. Ryan Pittman is locked into the playoffs. He has a win. He's already made his way up to 3rd in that 08 machine. So he is locked in, but he doesn't matter for him. He wants to get a win. Same thing, you have Alonzo King right there up in the top spot, followed by Pete Woodrum, who needs a win. Oh, there's a bump from the 22 to the 08. That's going to stack up the bottom line.
Big bump on the outside line, too. Lots of pushing going on. It is
Hermes Castro.
All it takes is a bad tap on that outside line, and trouble will ensue.
Yep, and you almost saw the 25 jump down below that, or in front of that number 80 machine. He almost got that line. He was pushing the 99, but here they go. Here comes the 81 and the 88 and the 3. Barletta, Powell, and Bullard.
3 wide at the front. It's the 99 of Marco Berube. He is in the meat. Sorry, he's in the middle. He is the meat in this sandwich.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot more hectic out there on the track, and you see a lot of drivers trying to play chess right now, figuring out where they need to go. But that number 99 and that 25, the ONR guys are linked up in that top line. Berube and Mr. Hermes Castro. And here comes Barletta to the middle again, trying to get something formed up.
He's got some help this time.
Yeah, has a few takers. That Slacker Howell and Mann Jr. right there, but still, watch out, Jeff. A little bit of contact with Jeff Manee and William Mann there. Able to keep things going in the forward direction.
Even some contact up on the outside wall. Even the 34 has touched that safer barrier a bit. That's the 34 of Jerry Bato in that outside.
A lot of action happening right now as we are making our way to lap 56 complete out of 94 tonight. Just under 40 laps to go here in tonight's event. Field is led by Alonzo King, Pete Woodrum in second, Ryan Pittman in third, Bostic in fourth, Ledger in fifth, Joey Doucette in sixth, Barletta in seventh, Sean Shootman in eighth, Jeff Manee in ninth, and Christopher Howell rounds out your top 10. That is going to probably change here in about a quarter and a half. So don't trust us on those on that current running order. But right now you see the 22 jump to the middle lane behind in front of Harley Barletta. getting a solid push right now from that 81 machine. I don't know if I'd push in the corner too much, Rick. I mean, we know the story of what happens when you push somebody through a corner at a super speedway. Typically, you end up in the infield.
Yeah, it is
or
no
in the
bueno.
wall.
No bueno.
No bueno. That is correct. Right now, that middle lane is trying to form up. There's Barletta pushing the 22 again. He is pushing him through the corner right now as we speak. A little bit of distance formed between them, but they're going to try to get a run on that high side. See if anybody jumps up to try to take advantage of what that middle line or high line is doing right now.
So interesting story. Chris Howell, who was involved in at least one earlier incident, has now worked his way back up to 8th.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a quick repair. I would imagine he used it, and he's already locked in. So, if he wrecks out, it's not really that big of a deal, but it's still a big deal. I mean, you don't want to ever be wrecked out of a race. You still want to go with. That just proved to be true for the 80 machine because he just jumped to the high line to block that outside line, which is going to stack up the field.
We already saw some of those repercussions. There was some contact a little bit far back with the safer barrier with some of these drivers. And now he's back down to the low line.
Making his car 3 lanes wide. Don't think he can do that this time because that 22 has a push from Mr. Barletta, but Mr. Barletta kind of peeked to the outside, trying to find a room, somewhere to go. And they have a run. Let's see if they're able to do it. Barletta's back bumper of that 22 machine, pushing that 22 machine to the lead.
Careful.
I thought that the 81 was getting a run out of shape, but he was looking to the bottom side. And that's going to leave the 22 out to dry. So
not too bad. He definitely has some help. Oh, and they're still battling. Alonzo King up to the outside. Harley Barletta follows. Alonzo drops back down. It's a mad dash here, and we are only at lap 59. We should start seeing pit stops somewhere around lap 67. We have not yet seen green flag pit stops.
We have not. And I don't know if we're going to if we're going to see them if the racing keeps on getting as hectic as it is, because these guys look like they're racing for the last lap. Every single lap here, you got guys blocking. You have drivers going from the middle lane to the low lane, back to the high lane. But that's all a part of Talledega. That's what makes Talledega fun and great to race at. So right now, as it stands, Barletta, Bostic, and Howell are your current top 3. Now, you see that, I believe that's the 14 machine of Mike Sladker right there in the midst of all of this. He is the first car lap down. So, he is trying to race his way back into the mix here because he wants to get a win on the season. Mike Sladker is 10th in points. He may or may not need a win to make his way into the playoffs. So he is fighting for his playoff chances right now by staying at the front of the field. And Rick, we're going 3. Oh, Rick in the back.
Yellow flag is out. It's like Sean Shootman possibly involved. Let's follow the 37 of Sean Shipman here, see what we see. Oh, he got collected. Unfortunately, it looks like the 54 of David Watts and the 29 of William Mann made contact.
Nowhere to go. Wrong place at the wrong time.
Victim of circumstance.
Yep.
But the 40 still hangs on, gets through cleanly. That's amazing. But the 37 does have contact, watching the 54 at the same time. Some side contact there with the safer barrier for the 54. All right. Well, let's take this opportunity. Let's see if the folks at Tech4Troop's have made any decisions on the paint schemes and their award tonight. Jason, any thoughts tonight? See if Jason has his ears on.
Yeah, actually, and I've got a winner for you already. He's been at the top of the pack, or the front of the pack a few times, but it's I believe it's the 81 car, Mr. Harley Barletta.
All right, Harley sporting that bright yellow Tech4Troop's paint scheme tonight.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can see
really
Harley
pops
on pit road as the majority of the field is coming down. So there is your Tech4Troop's paint scheme skirmish winner for the Tech4Troop's Dega 250. All right, so while these guys are heading down pit road for some fuel and for some tires, we're going to jump out and take a brief commercial break. We will be right back.
When veterans get out of the military, a lot of them don't know how to translate their skill sets into the civilian world, and they lapse into poverty or into homelessness. But it can be easier with the right support. At Tech4Troop's, our mission is to empower veterans in need with computers to get back in the workforce. We want to support our veterans across the nation.
All right, welcome back to the Tech4Troop's Dega 250. I'm your host, Rick Souza. My co-host in the booth tonight, John DeRudris. We are at lap 63 of 94 for our fourth caution of the evening, brought out by some incidental contact that unfortunately collected a number of drivers, folks that were impacted with that incident. Was
one of those drivers. Yep, Sean Shootman.
Yep, the 37 of Sean Shootman. We also saw William Mann Jr. involved.
Sean Shootman is currently 9th in the playoff standings, so he's a little bit close to that cutoff line. Not sure what kind of implications that is going to have on the race and on his playoff hopes, but the race must go on, and we will be able to determine those point standings after the race. So we'll see if he's able to get back on the track here. But right now, 63 of 94 complete, coming to 31 to go. They're going to have to pit one more time, Rick.
That is correct. And we have yet to see a green flag stop. So, well, that's interesting. You know what they're doing there.
Yeah, I understand it. I do, but also on the second hand, I don't, because
there's 32 laps left.
At 32, you're going to have to come down eventually. I mean, I believe those were teammates that all came down, but one lap with 31 to go, unless they're predicting a lot of caution laps, it's risky to maybe try to make it on one. I don't think you can, but it's definitely an interesting move to top off just a little bit to get a little bit more fuel in the tank.
Well, that puts a lot of drivers at the back end of this field. There's 19 drivers currently on the lead lap. Those drivers that did come down just took fuel.
That is correct. And before we go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say a number of drivers came down and took tires. Most of the, looks like Harley Barletta, Berube, Castro, Bostic, Bullard, pretty much the drivers between spots 5 through 12 all took fresh rubber.
Yep, that's what you're typically going to see here a little bit later on in the race, because tires don't really matter as much, like I mentioned before, but it's still important to have them at the end of the race, especially when you have 60, 70 plus laps on your tires. So it makes a lot of sense. But really quick before the racing gets back underway, I have our caution number 4 question. So, do you know who the first NASCAR Cup Series winner was here at Talledega in 1969? That is your little bit of hint. But do you know who the first Cup Series victor was here at Talledega? It happened in 1969, and to give you another hint, he drove a Dodge. Now, don't think into that too much. I'm trying to give you some hints, and it may lead you in a little bit of a wrong direction because you're probably thinking of a driver that ran in that time frame, that drove potentially a Dodge. Maybe that driver, may not be that driver. Who knows? I'm not trying to fool you, but maybe I am a little bit. But do you know who was the first Cup Series winner here at Talledega in 1969?
Hey, we're about to go back to green, and you got the 11-11 guys, the Average Joe Motorsports teammates out front leading both lines.
Yep, and also big jump. Oh, stack up in the high line. We're green flag racing here again at Talledega. 30 to go here. You have Christopher Howell, Doucette, and Barletta all out front with Berube there, and Gibson up to 5th.
A little bit of gamesmanship happening there.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about Mr. Bobby Gibson would also need a victory to make it into the playoffs. So that number 28 machine needs to win to be in. So can he bring it home? Same thing for Bullard and Ledger there, 9th and 10th right now. So we'll see what they're able to do as the race approaches. 29 to go. Wildman EG says Richard Petty. Is that correct? I don't know. I'll have to tell you here in a minute until let's go to lap 68 out of 94 complete. So you have about 2 minutes to lock in your answer for did you know who the first Cup Series winner was here at Talledega in 1969?
So, as I was watching those drivers come out of turn 4, there seems to be a little bit of a snap in that setup. Doesn't seem to drive off of turn 4 cleanly, which may have affected or may have contributed to some of those earlier incidents.
Yep, let's see if it happens again, because we're about to see them come out of turn 4. Nothing too crazy right there. Saw a little bit, but it has been known that turn 4 you do kind of have a little bit of a snapping effect where it's almost like the car over rotates and the car's tail end wants to snap around where you have to actually turn a little bit to the right. I mean, very small amounts to get that. Oh, a little bit loose there. That's the 88 getting pushed by Marco Berube. Or that's the 11 rather. Oh, we're all jockeying for position now. Watch out, folks. 3 wide in the back.
A lot of action back on the track. Oh, go!
Oh, watch out. Oh, go to their pit road. Oh, no, not pit road, rather. I thought they were going to come down pit road because both those cars dropped off at what looked like the same time.
They saved it.
They both did. So, Rick, that may be what you were referring to because both those cars lost it out of 4. Definitely an incident that was avoided there out of those drivers. But guess what? It is 68 of 94 complete, and I'm going to give you the answer to the last question. So the question was, do you know who the first Cup Series winner was here at Talledega in 1969? He drove a Dodge. His first name...
Oh, contact!
And the big one. Here we go, folks. The big one has ensued here at Talledega. And,
go ahead and give your answer while we try to get the replay truck to bring that one back.
Absolutely. So, it's between Wildman and Angelin. His first name was Richard, I have to say. But it was not the King. It was Richard Brickhouse. So good job, Angelin. Way to get that one correct. I definitely fooled you there, Wildman, with the Dodge question. I knew that was going to gonna fool somebody because you're thinking, oh, Richard Petty, of course he won the first race. He won everything during that time frame. But it was Richard Brickhouse. But let's take a look at this last incident between the front runners. That's what you don't want to do. It's what I referred to earlier, pushing in the corners. You're going to end up either in the infield or in the wall. And Barletta got into the wrong place at the wrong time on the back bumper to 98.
Trying to get a better shot here from the 43. See if we can crawl along here and see. So the 81 teammates, a little bit of contact with the 88. Turns him down. They come right down onto the 43, collecting the 43. And unfortunately,
it's nowhere to go.
No. Unfortunately, a lot of guys in the Average Joe camp were impacted. So a little bit of John Ledger was involved with the 19. The 43 comes down and takes out the 54 of David Watts, who is just trying to stay out of trouble, who is potentially going to come back up. Avoids the 34.
If Jeff Denis gets into the 19, if John Ledger gets him into the wall. But who this really helped out, Rick, was the 14 of Mike Sladker. So he did get that wave around on the last caution, but he was able to keep it clean. He was able to keep his car clean. He now sits in 12th with 25 to go. So Sladker looking for a win here. He is on the bubble. But that was the big one here tonight.
25 laps to go. That was some major contact with a lot of playoff contenders involved.
Yes, it was. And, it's going to happen as the race goes on. You're going to see the you're going to see the racing pick up and the intensity rise. And we saw that there, as right now you have Berube and Castro and Bullard, your top three. 2 out of those 3 drivers need a win to make it in. They are outside of playoff contention right now. With Castro sitting there nice and pretty. Same thing with Bostic, he needs a win. Barletta's pretty much locked in. Let's take a look at those playoff contenders right there. Looks like, yep, that is correct up on the screen. So those are the current standings based off of points, not off of wins. So right now there's going to be a little bit different in the standings as that shows, but still anybody like, for example, Sean Shootman, he needs a win. Back there, he is sitting currently on the board. It says 7th, and the actual point standing says 9th. But anybody really 12th on back needs a win. Woodruff, Bullard, even Watts needs a win. Ruby needs a win. So all these guys up here in the front need a win to make it in, or at least secure their spot and be comfortable in the next round or the first round of the playoffs. So we'll see what happens.
We can bring up the current point standings into the broadcast window, John, to refresh
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do that really quick. See what that looks like. And right now, you have Joey Deuce up there in the front with Hermes Castro. This is a big race for Mr. Castro, because if he wins this, he would be sitting up there tied with Mr. Doucette for most regular season wins, as well as most points going into the playoffs. Christopher Howell there sitting at 2. You have Alonzo King there at 2 with Pittman and Schumacher there with 1. But everybody basically, really Bostic, Surwick, and Watts, they need a win. For Ruby, I would say he needs a win to get in. I think Sladker could be comfortable there. Same thing with Shootman and Ogden, but still a win wouldn't hurt these playoff contenders. Okay, Wildman asked for an easy question, so let me find something easy here. Okay, I have an easy one. Who set the track qualifying record at Talledega? The all-time track qualifying record at Talledega. I just thought that one up. I didn't have to look that one up. That's just a pretty easy one, I believe, there, Rick. So who set the track record at qualifying here at Talledega?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking the general audience. No.
I'm sure they'll know. And you know what?
That.
I think I do, and I think that they should also be able to at least give the miles per hour that he qualified.
Okay.
Because you don't need to get down to the 10th, but certainly the first 3 digits, they are the most important.
Okay, so yes, that is also a part of the question. So I love that. So do you know the driver, and do you know the speed at which he qualified? 214.
Oh.
224.
He was not driving an Indy car.
Castro up there in P2 commenting with us. Love to see that, but you're about to go green flag racing, sir. So thank you for your input. Love your support, Hermes. Love that. Was not expecting Hermes to chime in on that one at all. But here we go, back to green flag racing with 24 coming to 23 laps to go. Green flag is out. Ruby is out front.
Oh, don't jump out too far, Marky. You want to allow your teammate to keep up with you, or that low line's going to run you over.
Yeah, and you see the whole field is really spread out. I mean, look at...
Oh, big bump on the 25 in the corner. He holds it and takes advantage of it.
Yep, and right now, Rick, you have roughly about a 10-car pack, followed by a 3-car pack and a 6-car pack. So this field is really shaken up right now with 23 laps to go, with a lot of drivers here in this front pack that absolutely need to win to make it into the playoffs. A win would very much help them into the playoffs.
So with 23 laps to go, who's got fuel?
Yeah, really, I mean, that's the question. You know, if we get a caution anywhere between now and the end of the race, which we possibly will, definitely they can make it. But right now, they're going to be a little bit short. So are we going to see some drivers save? Are we going to see some drivers come down pit road and get a splash? Are we going to see another incident that's going to bring everybody down pit road? We don't know. But with 22 to go, they will have to come down with our calculations one more time. But that's not going to stop.
Yeah, at least for the 99 of Berube and the 25 of Castro, they last came in at lap 62. However, Bostic, Barletta, Ogden, and the top 9 came in on lap 69.
Right. So this is going to be interesting to see who pits and when. Could the 25 and the 99 be on a better strategy? Could they actually short pit and do something that is not really seen here, but kind of short pit the field? I mean, they are great at pushing. You know, Castro is a good pusher, so he may be able to get up there and potentially seal the deal for that number 99 or potentially himself. But right now we have 21 to go. I'm going to answer the question here once we hit 20 to go. But right now, your top 10 as it stands: Marco Berube in first, Hermes Castro in second, Mr. Ty Bostic in third, Barletta in fourth, Ogden in fifth, Winnie in sixth, Slapper in seventh, Gibson in eighth, Schubin in ninth, and Bullard in 10th. That 6th through 10th is very interesting to me because all those drivers basically need a win outside of Slapper. Slapper is basically pretty much locked in unless something extreme happens, but all those guys need a win. So the time has come, Rick, to answer that question. So as everybody has said,
Christopher Howell is on pit road.
All right, so there comes our first taker before
by
I answer
himself.
that question. That is interesting. Nobody went with him. He's going to be a lap down, but he's going to be the first car lap down, probably. But if we go green, it could possibly bite him in the butt there, and he may not be able to make his way back up. That's the first
So
thing.
just,
If anybody else make their way down pit road.
Just info, you got Alonzo King, Pete Woodrum, John Ledger, Joey Doucette, Surwick. They all came down on lap 70.
Alrighty, so could they make it to the end? Possibly. It's going to be tight, but there is out front. You probably saw that car a little bit out in front of the lead pack. That is the 88 of Christopher Howell. Is he able to make his way to the front of the field? We don't see him in the picture just yet. but I imagine here fairly soon you will see that 88 enter the screen. There he is. He is going to go one lap down once these leaders catch him. He's now to the bottom lane. A little bit of a shove there from the 25 to the back of the 99. Wildman says Castro has jet fuel. Well, it sure looks like it with how well he's been pushing that number 99 tonight. But to answer the question, who set the all-time track qualifying record at Talledega? It in fact was Bill Elliott, but it was not 214 miles an hour. It definitely wasn't Castro's number of 224. Angelin actually got it right on the dot with 212 miles an hour, or 212.809. So was that Google?
I think Angelin is a fabulous Googler.
I think so as well. But still, she was able to get that right technically. You know, have to fact check that. But yes, 212 miles an hour was the track record. Will we ever see that again? Probably not. Not really sure. As the horsepower packages have lowered here and the speeds have lowered just a little bit. Right now, the current package is going about 190, so about 20 miles an hour slower than that single car back there in the 80s.
I think that was a well-celebrated speed, but unfortunately at that same race, I believe Allison was it Bobby Allison that was in the fence, and it became a safety issue, and they began to add in at that point plates under the carburetors to lower the overall horsepower.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. And, at 212 miles an hour, in those kind of cars, you're just asking for something to happen, really. Not saying these cars are not safe or, the best, but obviously they'd be a little bit safer going 200 miles an hour today. But back then, it was wild seeing some of those old incidents, and not as many drivers were injured or, harmed in any way compared to what it could have been. So, but still, 212 miles an hour, crazy time, or crazy speed.
16 laps here to go. Seeing a significant breakaway pack here. Got Jeff Neely in 8th at the tail end of it, just to give you an idea as to how this is shaping up. Let's bring up that track map, and you can see that 99 with the 40 at the end, that's your first pack. And then behind the 40, you've got the 29 of William Mann. Going back to the 19 of Ledger, that is your second pack. And all of those guys, those are the 19 is the last car on the lead lap.
Yes, it is. And the 40 is kind of out to dry right now. He has nobody to help him, and he's having a hard time staying up with the pack. So the 40 has dropped off. So right now you are down to a 9-car pack up here in the front, with really a 3-car breakaway currently, as we have some jockeying for position going on.
Oh, careful in the back.
Yep, that is Bobby Gibson, who does in fact need a win to make it into the playoffs.
That was him getting around. I think that was Joey Doucette. I can't tell from the angle.
I believe it was. I believe you're correct. But with 14 to go, this pit stop is going to have to happen either very close to the end of the race or sometime soon. There is Mr. Joey Doucette trying to get around the 28 of Bobby Gibson.
Unfortunately, does not have any help on that outside line.
And Rick, it looks like you were correct. Angela said, yeah, I don't know any of those answers. For real, LOL, but she's learning. So Google us with it. But still, it's fun to learn, and I'm learning some stuff too, as well as looking through some track facts, especially the New Hampshire one. I still can't get over the mascot for New Hampshire. I for sure thought it was going to be a lobster, but it was a pack of moose. So that one still stumps me to this day.
So our 3-pack car breakaway, that's Berube, Castro, and Bostic, have separated themselves from Barletta, Ogden, Slagter, and Gibson.
Oh, we got a caution, Rick.
It's like Travis Murgaard and John Ledger were involved in something.
Oh, goodness.
This changes everything.
Yes, it does. Yes, it in fact does. Because Ledger needed a win. He needs a win to make it into the playoffs.
We're watching here the 19 of John Ledger. Oh.
Oof.
That's Travis Murgaard, also an 11-11 Average Joe teammate. Let's back that up a bit and step through. So with any accident analysis that we do, we try to see, and we use those marks on the track to try and get a feel for just what's happening and where. And you can see the 6 car of Murgaard is splitting that white line. It comes down and unfortunately contacts that right rear, was not completely clear with John Ledger, and unfortunately puts him in the wall. And both cars are significantly damaged. I'm not sure if there are quick repairs remaining for those drivers, but we sure hope they can get those vehicles repaired and back up on the track. They're definitely down onto pit road. Now, that being said, pit stops.
You got to come down. I would not recommend. Whoa, 22 stays out.
The 22 last pitted on lap 69. Everybody else, with the exception of Bobby Gibson, who also pitted last on lap 69, has come in. Let me rephrase that. Christopher Howell stayed out.
And Serwick, I believe.
And Serwick, that is correct. Those were drivers who were still on the lead lap. As you saw those quick pit stops, that was pretty much just gas and go for those drivers.
Interesting move there by to stay out. I understand track position. I do. And I understand, wanting to be at the front of the pack when chaos ensues. But I would rather have gas than track position at this point, because at Talledega, you need track position, but it's not like anybody can, pull away from you in a single car. As long as you're in the draft, you have a chance. So
hey, John, I want to take this opportunity to get our last commercial break in. We will stay side by side here, but it'll be our last break, and we'll stay with you for these last 9 or so green flag races.
When veterans get out of the military, a lot of them don't know how to translate their skill sets into the civilian world, and they lapse into poverty or into homelessness. But it can be easier with the right support. At Tech4Troop's, our mission is to empower veterans in need with computers and training to get back in the workforce. We want to be able to support our veterans across the nation.
Hello, my name is Amanda, and I support Tech4Troop's.
Okay, welcome back to the Tech4Troop's Talledega 250, brought to you here on the IWM Broadcast Network. This is our last regular season before we get into the playoffs, and it has been exciting. This is currently our 6th caution of the evening.
It is, and we're seeing a lot of these drivers, and the attrition starting to come out here. It's a hard feat to run 90 so laps here, and we're seeing who's going to be at the end of the race here very shortly. And one name I want to really look out for is the 28 of Bobby Gibson. He needs a win. He's up there with all those other drivers that need a win, and he is the one that is most in need of one. Let's say, obviously Ogden rather needs one, or would help him. Slatker,
Bostic,
Ruby would help him. Yeah, Bostic as well. So all these drivers up here, a win would help them exponentially. here in the playoffs, especially specifically Bostic too, because he is the 12th car in point, or he's the 12th driver right now in the standings.
Here's an interesting fact. Bobby Gibson is picked up. He's currently sitting in second. He is plus 19 spots.
Wow. Well, I think we may have found a track that he likes. I think this could be a great possibly finish for him, and if he brings home a win, he could be locked into the playoffs starting next week.
The other
Go ahead.
So the other big mover is Hermas Castro, who's currently sitting in 8th. He has moved up 14 spots.
That's a trend that we see with Mr. Castro a lot. He definitely starts out from the back, and he likes to make his way up to the front. And even at super speedways, you can do that. So awesome, great work by both of those drivers, especially Talledega. It's a hard way to do that. Hard to make your way up through the field with some incidents. But right now, I'm going to give you your caution number 6 trivia question. Who is the oldest pole winner at Talledega? Out of past and current drivers, who is the oldest pole sitter at Talledega Superspeedway in the Cup Series, past or present drivers? To give you a hint, it happened on October 23rd, 2011.
All right. Lights are off on the pace car coming out of turn 4, about to drop off the racing surface. Ty Bostic is our control car. Bobby Gibson is on the outside.
And here we go. This is going to get a little hectic, folks. So hope you have your popcorn ready and your seatbelts fastened, because it's going to get nuts here at Talledega. 10 laps to go. 22 the control car. We are green flag racing here again at Talledega. The outside line is going to not a great restart, which is going to stack up the field. 9 to go.
9 laps to go. Bobby Gibson leads the outside pack. He's got a third line forming up on his outside.
It is. That is Marco Berube in the 25.
Oh, Gibson, contact with the 81. Mike Slaughter drops down. Alonzo King comes back there below the yellow line, moving their way back up to avoid that wreck, giving a huge advantage to the 99 of Berube and Castro, who take that opportunity and jump out to the lead.
That could have been absolute mayhem for all those drivers. Great job by everyone, settling it in and, taking their all rightful place. Everybody was at the right place at the right time there. So great job. There goes Bobby Gibson to the outside. He wants to take control of this race. 8 laps to go. Berube sitting in 11th.
Contact. He's slowed up in front of the Alonzo King, number 80. But we survived. 8 laps to go. I don't know how we're making it through this, but we are.
I don't know. That number 80 better keep that straightened on the back bumper of that number 28, but he's going to get a push from the one of Pete Woodrum, I believe, who still needs a win to make it in.
Berube, so Castro, Bostic, Slagter.
The 80's pushing the left rear. The 28.
Contact! There it is!
Yeah,
we saw the 28. We'll go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Major contact with, unfortunately, Alonzo King is involved.
Can't push on that left rear, Rick.
Bobby Gibson. Let's go back. You may want to answer that question before we go back to get our next question.
The answer to the question for the oldest pole sitter, the answer to that question was Mark Martin. So didn't get any responses on that one. So
it looks like the 28 had gotten in potentially a push from the 80. We'll see how that goes. We're kind of watching it right now in quarter speed, see if that will tell us what happens here. Getting a push here in the corner is not for the faint of heart. You've got to have some experience. Looks like a little tap right there, unfortunately, by the 80. Turns him down and collects the 3 of Luke Bullard. The 1 avoids it, drops down. 21, unfortunately, gets tapped.
81.
He does, and the 37 collects him as well.
Man.
Yep.
I watched that one happen too because I was watching the 80. The 80 wants to get to the front, and just the left rear is not these cars' best friend. We've even seen that in the actual Cup Series, Rick. Where if you push the car at the wrong point in the wrong time in the corner, it's almost like the cars just want to wreck. It's definitely due to the non-symmetrical front end compared to the non-symmetrical back end. Both are curved. So when we don't have any of that slick tape that these drivers can put on the back of their cars to push well, so you'll catch a car like that, almost 10 times out of 10. Wildman's he answered Michael Waltrip to that question. The answer was Mark Martin, and yes, he did race in 2011. Mark Martin was still around in 2011. So I got to find a new question, Rick. Find a new question.
All right, well, go ahead and look for that question you just saw. I believe that was Joey Doucette making their way around, getting their lap back. We did see a number of drivers in the pits trying to get some work done. I know Ian Ogden's in the pits currently. Bobby Gibson is still in the pit. Unfortunately, I think that they had used up their fast repair, and fortunately, they're trying to get their repairs done, at least to get back up on the track and to finish. So, at the front of the field, you've got our lead car, which will be Marco Berube. He is currently leading, and this will move Hermas Castro to the outside line. Bostic will slip in behind the 99 of Berube, and Mike Slagter in that 14 will move to the outside with Hermas Castro. That will put us with, at this point, estimating with 4 laps to go.
It's going to be a wild 4 laps, and we do have 3 green-white checkers here tonight to bring home this last race of the regular season. And right now, it's anybody's game. Berube still hasn't won. Bostic, they're in 3rd. Slapker needs a win. Woodrum rather needs a win. Barletta, Shootman. All these drivers, the majority of the top 10. David Watts looking from the outside in as well. 80% of this top 10 hasn't won this season. So we could see a first-time winner here at Talledega. And speaking of drivers at Talledega, I have your caution number 7 question. Who has the most top 5s out of current and past drivers here at Talledega? Who has the most top 5s? Also, we got a comment from the Owl's Nest Sim Racing team. He said, "Take it home, Marco."
Number of Owl's Nest Racing folks. You got Marco, Hermas Castro up there.
Yep, they're leading the field right now, and they're looking for a 1-2 finish tonight. Castro has a couple wins on the season. He's already locked into the playoffs. And right now, Berube, he's in the top 12, but he's right at the cutoff line, so a win would not hurt him by any means. A win would actually secure him 100% into the playoffs, since he's sitting at 11th right now. He needs to finish ahead of Ty Bostic, Surwick, and Watts to make it into the playoff, and currently he is doing so.
David Watts is currently sitting in 10th. Bostic is right there, showing sitting in 3rd. Should be interesting. All right, well, the lights are off on top of our pace car. This is the 7th caution of the night. Just would be 4 laps left at the stripe. We thank you for tuning in and following on whichever stream you are watching us on. We certainly do appreciate that. We would ask you to like and follow, and hey, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbor, tune in.
Yeah, it's a fun, family-friendly environment we have here at iRacing Warriors Motorsports, as well as the Tech4Troop's Cup Series. So tune in every Wednesday. We have the playoffs coming up for the Tech4Troop's Cup Series, as well as other racing leagues that we will broadcast throughout the 2023 year coming up very shortly. So Rick, 5 to go. All hands off, every man for himself, I think, at this point. A win at Talledega is a very special win, no matter how you get it, or, well, really, I mean, you don't want to wreck anybody to win it. But still, a win at Talledega is a big win, especially here with the last race of the season. Pace car makes its way down pit road. The 99 leads the field to the green with 5 coming to 4 to go. A lot on the line for these playoff drivers.
Green flag.
Green flag racing. Here we go, Rick. Coming to 4 to go. You see the O&R teammates link up.
Bostic drops into third. Mike Slagner is in fourth, and the 81 of Barletta sits in fifth. Christopher Howell has made his way back up and sits in sixth. Pete Woodrum is behind Chris. Shipman in the 37 is in eighth. Mann in ninth, and Pittman is sitting in 10th. Now that will all change as they begin to slice and dice on this backstretch.
Yep, right now it'll all change. And just to give you the answer to the last question so we can cover these last 4 laps with full commentary, the answer to the question was Dale Earnhardt Sr. Dale Earnhardt Sr. has the most top 5s at Talledega with 23. So while the man, it wasn't Junior and Daryl, it was not Denny Hamlin and Angelin. It's okay if you didn't know. I didn't know that myself either. But Dale Earnhardt Sr. has the most top 5. You have a car coming down pit road. I believe that is Alonzo King.
It is Alonzo King.
So he may be out of gas, but we are 3 to go here at the Tech4Troop's Dega 250. For Ruby out front, Castro in second, Bostic third, Slapker moving his way up to the high line in fourth, and now Barletta is in fifth. The majority of the top 10 has not won a race this year outside of Castro and Christopher Howell. So we have an 80% chance of getting a first-time winner this season. Well, a 70% chance because Brian Pittman there in the back has won a race. Right now, that 25 is locked in the back of the 99.
Pushing even through the corner, a delicate balance at any track, but particularly here on these plate racing. Field begins to split apart a bit as they cross through the tri-oval.
Here we go, 2 to go.
99 continues to be out front with a good push from the 25, but the 81 pushes the 14 on that high line. There was contact in the back of the field with Bostic, I thought.
Don't know who that was, but there is a car in the wall with 2 to go.
Oh, contact! 14 gets spun, big wreck, taking out Berube.
No caution. They stay on the inside of the track. Watch out, 99. Watch out, 99. His left front toe leg is broken. Here we are coming to the white flag.
We are under caution.
Oh, Rick. We almost made it around.
Whew. Well, I think that was probably a very timely caution. Let's go back and take a look at that.
Yep, it all started with the pushing on the backstretch, which we've seen pushing be the culprit of many incidents tonight. Oh!
So this is pushing out of the corner. We've talked about that tonight. If you are involved in iRacing, you know how precarious that can be, as we had talked about earlier. So we'll see this, but looks like the 81 is slightly offset from the 14. That is unfortunately a bad recipe, bad juju there.
It is.
So as he's cutting across, looking for, so there's a Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, that left rear puts him right across the nose of the 99, enough to unfortunately continue to pull him in. And those guys got some damage there.
And that's just the wrong place at the wrong time for the 99 machine. That kind of reminds me of the incident that William Byron had and the 21 of Harrison Burton had at Daytona, where there was a wreck up in the high line, and Byron was the culprit of that. And a very similar wreck where Byron hit the inside wall coming out of turn 2 at Daytona, very similar to what we just saw there. And there's nowhere to go. It's unfortunate, but hopefully those drivers didn't use their quick repair. They're able to get back in this, because we do only have about 14 cars on the lead lap right now, as we will have a green-white checker. This is our first of the night. We will see what this brews as it comes to who will be up in the top spot. But as it stands right now, Harley Barletta, who is first of the night, We will see what this brews as it comes to who will be up in the top spot. But as it stands right now, Harley Barletta, who is still looking for his first win of the season, is in P1. Now, he is locked into the playoffs based off the points, so he is perfectly fine, really, for whatever happens, but he still wants that first win. Howell there in second has a few wins on the season. Same thing with Castro. William Mann Jr. still looking for a win as well, with Ryan Pittman there in fifth. Pittman has a win. Bostic still looking for his first win. Same thing with Sean Shootman there in seventh. Joey Doucette, your current point leader, riding nicely in P8. Ian Ogden looking for his first win. And same thing with David Watts sitting there in 10th. David Watts needs to win. He absolutely has to win to make it into the playoffs. So, will we see a first-time winner? Possibly. Will we see a previous champion win? Possibly. Will we see the current point leader win? Possibly. I can't tell you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you've got Mike Slagter, Marco Berube, Pete Woodrum. All of those guys probably had an earlier incident with their vehicle, and they were on pit road. I think Mike Slagter is making his way out. Marco Berube is still on pit road, trying to get some repairs done, but it's going to be interesting.
If it happens, it happens, and it's just it's hard because the drivers put a lot of time and work, and with things happening. It's Talledega. It's why it's the last race of the season, because there's so much on the line, and it's why the Cup Series. Doesn't the Cup Series go to Talledega at the end of the season, the last race before the Cup or the playoffs as well?
They do.
Yep. So it's a great race to be in the last portion of the playoffs, but it's also heartbreaking at times. So we'll see if those drivers ever make it around back onto the lead lap, or maybe we'll see another caution. They'll be able to get back into it, but who knows?
So right now we've got 13 cars on the lead lap. A little bit of significant attrition after this event. Harley Barletta is currently in front. Christopher Howell will move to his outside. Hermas Castro is in the catbird seat in 3. William Mann Jr. is on the outside, and you're seeing those cars moving back up. You've got Ryan Pittman, Ty Bostic, Sean Shootman, Joey Doucette, Ian Ogden, and David Watts. Top 10, 11, Mike Slagter, Alonzo King in 12th. With 3 laps to go, it is anybody's race.
Yep, anybody's race is correct there. Rick, I'm trying to find a question to ask everybody before we go back to green flag racing. Actually, I have. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so Talledega Superspeedway was not always known as Talledega. It had a former name that was changed in 1989. Do you know what the former name of Talledega Superspeedway was? I'll give you a hint. Its acronym is AIMS. 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 There's your hint. Do you know the former name of Talledega Superspeedway?
If you don't want to Google it or look it up, it's an opportunity here to learn along with the rest of us.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
All right,
Yep.
3 laps to go. It's our green-white checker here at Talledega. We have a number of these. We hope we can get it done with one. Competitors are making their way out of corners 3 and 4. Curious to see how this will play out.
Yep, it's going to be a wild event. Both we have 2 answers: Alabama International Motor Speedway by both Paul and Wildman. Makes sense for AIMS, AIMS. Is that correct? We'll have to see. I'll tell you here in about 3 laps. It's owl hunting season, Wildman. Says the Owl's Nest Racing Team. So, can the 25 bring home a win, Rick? I don't know. Can the 21? Can the 54? Can the 37? Can the 81? Who knows? But we're about to find out here in about 2 or 3 laps. Green flag racing is back underway here at Talledega with 2 laps to go. This time by green-white checkered, led by Harley Barletta down to the turn 1.
Good move by Hermas Castro to stay tight on the bumper of Harley Barletta. He did not let that jump impact him. Christopher Howell's on that outside line leading. Oh, a little bit of dancing in the back. You got William Mann Jr. behind the 88.
Here we go. Coming to turn 3 right now. 81 on the high line, 81 on the bottom line, rather, 88 in the top line.
Oh, contact with the 08 of Pittman and Hermas Castro. Lonzo King drops out.
Back on the pit road again. But we are going to get the white flag. I believe no caution will fly.
All right.
Alrighty. Next flag ends the race.
Final lap here at the Tech4Troop's Talledega 250. It is anybody. Oh, contact. Bostic. Barletta.
Big wreck. Oh, car in the wall. Along the fence. That is David Watts. It's going to be a 2-car race back to the front. You have Christopher Howell. You have William Mann Jr., followed by Ryan Pittman there. Can the 29 get a run on the 88?
At which point do you stop pushing the 88 and move out?
You have to make a move right here. We'll see if he gets closer. White flag. Here they come off the turn 4. The 29 is going to make a move. He goes to the high side. Here we go. Battling to the front. No move is going to be made. I think the 88 of Christopher Howell is going to bring home his 3rd victory of the season, with William Mann Jr. in 2nd and Ryan Pittman in 3rd.
Hermas Castro looks like finishing is in 4th. Surwick in 5th. Ogden in 6th. Doucette in 7th. Bostic in 8th. Barletta in 9th. Slagter in 10th. Shootman in 11th. That's the unofficial results. We'll get you the final as soon as they are posted.
Rick, that was a wild sequence of events. We may have to go back and take a look at that one, because you had the whole field essentially wrecked out of turn 1. A lot of pushing going on between Barletta and the back of the field, and see if we can maybe get something formed up. Here we go. Alrighty.
Try to get behind the 22 of Bostic. You can kind of see what happens here. Looks like the 25 was definitely pushing the 81. Who contacts the 22 of Bostic. How the Ryan Pittman makes it through this.
Right place at the right time.
Yep, the 25 is obviously out of the throttle. Can back that up just a little bit so we can maybe get a better view from the 14, because Slagter was unfortunately tangled in that mess. David Watts, Bostic. David Watts was in the catch fence and the safer barrier.
Just unfortunate right there for a lot of those drivers, and we won't know until the final results are actually official and we're able to upload those into the system to where we can get those final results. But Christopher Howell is your winner here tonight, 3rd round of the season. And this is going to put him very nicely placed into the playoff contention again. So your final results for tonight's Tech4Troop's Dega 250 were brought to you by Tech4Troop's 1111 Veteran Project, U-Haul, and EPI. Christopher Howell is your winner out of AJM, with William Mann Jr. in 2nd, Ryan Pittman in 3rd, Hermas Castro in 4th, Andrew Surwick brings some of the night's 5th place finish, Ian Ogden in 6th, Joey Doucette in 7th, Ty Bostic in 8th, Harley Barletta in 9th, and Mike Slapper rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, you've got Sean Shootman. In 12th, David Watts. 13th is Pete Woodrum. 14th, David P. Sharon. Alonzo King finishes in 15th. Marco Berube, unfortunately, he winds up in 16th. In 17th, Luke Bullard. 18th, Bobby Gibson. In 19th, Jeff Nini. 20th, John Ledger. 21st, Jerry Batto. 22nd, Travis Murgard. 23rd, Thomas Thompson. 24th, Matt Swope. Matt McInnes in 25th. Chris Worrell finishes in 26th. Austin Armstrong rounds up the field in 27th. All
Let's
right.
see. Do you have anybody that we can bring up?
We have them all. Let's go and bring Mr. Ryan Pittman in. Ryan, welcome to the broadcast booth.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
We're good. You were in the right place at the right time for sure.
Yeah, talk about that. I was just looking at the replay. Yeah, I had to keep my foot in it, right? That's what you do, right?
Absolutely.
It is. I mean, it worked, and you were one of the lucky ones. You already have a victory on the season, so you're already locked into the playoffs. So I want to know, what was your mindset going into Talledega, knowing that the playoffs are coming up? How aggressive were you going to be, and were you wanting to get that win, knowing you're going to make it into the playoffs?
I don't know. I wasn't too worried about it. I was trying to help out my teammate and buddy Sean, try to get up there and work with him. He got caught up in a little bit of stuff, and we tried to work together. So that was kind of my main objective this race. But things just kind of worked out at the end. Stayed out of trouble and brought it home third.
Well, congratulations on that. Any shout-outs tonight, Ryan?
Oh, just Tech4Troop's, the league, great league. Appreciate it. Coming out here every Wednesday. Hopefully, we can get some good more people in here. I'll be here for next season. Waiting on the truck league. It's on Monday, and just looking forward to some more.
Well, if you'd like, you can hang around here. We'll bring our next second place finisher, William Mann, into the booth.
Alrighty. Also, really quick to answer that last cautions question, the answer was, in fact, Alabama International Motor Speedway, so that was correct.
All right, William Mann Jr., welcome to the broadcast booth, and congratulations on your P2 finish.
Appreciate it, man. It's about time. I've been slacking around getting 5th, 6th, and 10th, so.
I know. You absolutely. You were, it looked like you were possibly going to make a last chance effort to get around the 88, but still you were able to get through that last incident. Give us a rundown of your race and kind of what you saw, where you were able to finish up in P2 and make your appearance here on the podium.
Yeah, man, I guess I was kind of asleep on that freaking restart right there, and Ty was all over me, and it looked like he got a good run, and he thought he was going to try to throw it in front of Harley, but he just didn't have room. And there for a minute, it kind of seemed like he was stuck in no man's land, where it was like either chop down or chop up, and we're all going regardless. And I think he thought he could bluff Harley into slowing down, and it just didn't work out that way.
We're definitely excited to see some new names up at the front today. Certainly that last wreck was exciting for those. Unfortunately, not so exciting for those involved. So.
Yeah, definitely. I know Harley wasn't a fan.
No, not at all. William, any shout-outs tonight?
I mean, as usual, my family business, man's maintenance. It helps me fund the pay-to-play to hang out with everybody. Harley's a good friend of mine that I've met through iRacing and kind of invited me to you guys, and I got to join this league. So shout out to him. I appreciate him inviting me to everybody here, and it's having a blast.
Well, that sounds great. If you could stay with us, we'll bring Mr. Christopher Howell into the broadcast booth, and y'all can just hang out. So hang on one second.
Yeah.
Chris, welcome to the broadcast booth, and congratulations on your finish.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was a hard win, I'll tell you that.
Well, certainly we saw you come back and battle back through a number of incidents tonight. This was a very interesting race. We saw yourself and others have to deal with some earlier trouble, but you worked your way back up.
Yeah, you just got to keep battling. Stuff happens during the race, and you'll learn over time. Just got to be patient and just hit your marks and try to make smarter moves and learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. John, anything?
No, I'm just impressed that Chris got another win because, just talking about the beginning of the season, Chris, you started off not on the foot that you wanted. And recently, you've been able to rack up a lot of solid wins. A win at Talledega is a win at Talledega no matter how you can get it. And like you mentioned before, it was a hard race win. So you're sitting very well up there in the point standings, tied for Hermas Castro with 3 wins right behind your teammate Joey Doucette. So I want to know, what's your mindset going into the playoffs as the previous champion, what do you want to accomplish, and how do you want to approach this upcoming playoff season?
It's to make it through the first round. Try not to get too over aggressive, and make smart moves, and just be solid. Of course, I always race for a win, but just be patient. Let the race come to me. Make smart moves, and not knock myself out first round. Because the plan is to go deep into the playoff run and try to get to the championship round, and I believe I can bring another championship home for myself and for my teammates and for Average Joe Motorsports.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. Any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, as always, man. I just really want to thank my teammates tonight, especially tonight. It's Talledega is a really heavy teammate driven track. You got to have teammates to win. So I want to thank them. Unfortunately, I know Harley got caught up in some stuff there on the last lap, but I want to thank Ian, John, Harley, William Ann, Joey, Travis, all the guys tonight. They did an awesome job tonight. Also want to thank all my sponsors on the car, 1111 Veteran Project and Racing for Heroes. Also want to thank the league sponsors.